Batman has been interpreted in many different ways by many different actors. He is one of the most iconic fictional characters of the past century, so it's no easy task to step into such a role. Fans, critics, and general moviegoers will all have something to say about each individual casting choice for Batman. Some actors are met with praise and some actors are met with scrutiny. Robert Pattinson is the most recent talent to take up the mantle, and if I'm being honest with myself, I do think this is the best interpretation of the character so far. Yeah, it might be a bit of a hot take, even I wasn't so sure about it at first, but as time went on and as I thought about it more, it just made sense to me. Really, there's nothing that I can say about this film that hasn't already been said. It is a beautifully shot film. Greg Fraser's cinematography is amazing. It's some of the best cinematography in any superhero film ever. The use of the anamorphic lens and the vibrant yet paradoxically washed out colors of the frame make this such a visually unique experience. Pair this with the sonically rich sound design and Giacchino's refreshing new Batman theme, and you get what essentially is a technical masterpiece. But yeah, this is stuff that I don't really have to tell you, because you probably already know this. I am here to make the case for the narrative interpretation of this character and Robert Pattinson's performance, as they both go hand in hand. What sets this Batman apart from the others narratively? Well, in my humble opinion, this is the most sympathetic version of the character. When comparing this film to the others, Batman's internal struggles can often be placed on the back burner in service of his very iconic rogues gallery, which to an extent is understandable. I mean, if you're a filmmaker approaching this IP, the villains of the Batman ethos can be very intriguing, so intriguing that some of them have even gotten their own films. This time around, Batman's arc is prioritized. His character is front and center, and honestly it's quite jarring because Matt Reeves approaches this character in a way that's different from any other live action adaptation. In this movie, Bruce Wayne is closed off from the world. He's rarely ever spotted in public. He is so emotionally and mentally damaged by this single incident in his life that it leads him to act in a very irrational way. That irrational thing being dressing up as a bat and beating up criminals. Of course, this is the general idea of Batman's story, but none of his movies have explored Bruce's mental turmoil in this way before. And there are films like Mask of the Phantasm that focus on Bruce's psyche a little bit more, but I'm specifically talking about live action here. I think what the Batman does so well is understand that Bruce doesn't quite know why he's doing this. At least not yet. At the beginning of the film, he doesn't quite understand what it means to be Batman. He's really just using this to cope with a childhood trauma. And although he may be doing some good, his reasons for doing so is really just self-fulfilling. It isn't until he meets the Riddler that a realization is finally made. A realization that vengeance is not the answer. All of that anger and resentment that Bruce harbors parallels the Riddler. He is really just one step away from being the Riddler, which is what makes his arc in the film so important to Batman's character development. He goes from being a simple conduit for fear and vengeance at the beginning of the film to being a symbol of hope by the end of the film. This dichotomy is a very effective way of creating a more up-to-date version of the Batman. Because if we're being honest, Batman is a little bit antiquated. I mean, he's a very rich and privileged man who tries to become some sort of moral arbiter. I think in this day and age, if fallen into the wrong hands, this IP can be interpreted in a less nuanced way, and in a way that doesn't seek to deconstruct the complexities of such a character. Essentially, Matt Reeves recognizes that Bruce Wayne is a very imperfect and a very flawed person, which is what makes him so intriguing. Batman shouldn't be solely defined by the iconic villains. There's a lot more that can be explored, and a lot more that I'm anticipating to be explored in upcoming sequels of this film. But yeah, like I said earlier, this is the most sympathetic version of the character, narratively speaking. I never doubted Robert. He's proven himself many times to be a very talented actor. When I first watched this movie, I was immediately blown away by his performance, but maybe I hesitated to call him the best. But you know what, it's been a fair bit of time now since the film's release, and I think it's safe to say he is the one. He is truly my definitive Batman. It's not very easy to explain all the little intricacies of Robert Pattinson's performance. You kinda just have to watch the movie and see it for yourself. It's a quiet performance. He only talks really when it's necessary. And the reason that works is because he communicates so much without saying a word. The way he uses his eyes and his posture and the way he walks around a room. There is so much weight to every footstep and every glance and every head turn. And his voice, I think he nails the voice. He has a great cadence and tone that just fits in perfectly with the great sound design. And yeah, he's playing a more reclusive, emo version of Bruce Wayne, but it makes sense. He's supposed to be very mentally unstable. He's full of anger and grief, and this is the way he copes with it. Considering how restricting the Batman suit is for an actor, I think it really does speak volumes for what Robert Pattinson is able to do with a lot of limited dialogue in certain scenes. And I do have to credit Matt Reeves for just having an amazing vision for this character. The choice to just linger on a shot of Robert Pattinson's face every now and then to let the audience soak up his performance and really get in the headspace of the character is really just the genius of Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson at work. I believe Matt Reeves has cited good time as one of the reasons Robert Pattinson was chosen for the role. And when you go back and watch that film, you can really see what Matt Reeves saw in him. The way he accentuates his performance with his eyes and is able to show a range of emotion with really just a blank stare. You know, I get if you're not crazy about it. Personally, I grew up loving the Dark Knight trilogy, and I still do, but as Nolan said it himself, this character thrives off interpretation, and this is a refreshing new take on the character. I think it explores things that haven't been explored yet, and I think it's taking these concepts to new places. Places that not everyone's gonna be a fan of, but I am, and it is what it is. Guys like Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Kevin Conroy, Val Kilmer's underrated performance, and all the other guys who've played Batman, they have a special place in my heart. I have respect for them. But Robert Pattinson is what I've been wanting. Like, this performance, this interpretation is what I've been wanting. And I'm starting to sound a little bit redundant now, but it's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. You can like whatever other actor has played Batman. I totally understand it, and I understand if you're not crazy about this one. I'm honestly just happy DC's giving me something to look forward to. But yeah, thanks for hearing me out. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments, because I'm curious. Where does Robert Pattinson rank for you? We could have a good old-fashioned GOAT debate in the comments. And if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe and leave a like. And if you're like one of my 12 subscribers and this video randomly popped up in your feed, yeah, I know I haven't really uploaded in a while. You're probably wondering, who the fuck is this guy? But I'm planning to start uploading again. I have ideas and plans for this channel, so stick around. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.